So joining me now is Dr. Daryl Joffrey. He is a gut health and inflammation specialist with over 2 decades of experience in this field. So glad you're joining us. Anyone who knows me knows that this is the rabbit hole that I'm currently falling down because there's a lot of emerging science, and it's really, really exciting. But I want to start off with a basic definition of what ultra-processed foods are, because most foods that we eat are processed. You got to cook a lot of the stuff. But what's an ultra-processed food?
And I got to tell you, this is a good rabbit hole to be going down because this is something that's massively going to affect our health. Ultra processed foods are basically foods that drive up inflammation in our body. And they're what I call crap foods, CRAP, completely refined and processed foods that when you eat them, they make you feel terrible, but it's also going to affect your body on a lot of different levels. It's going to cause issues with your cardiovascular system. It's going to cause obesity. It's going to cause even things like cancer. But what we're learning now, which is so powerful from all the new research, it's going way beyond the physical effects of our body. It's actually affecting our brain, which I know we're going to be talking about.
Exactly. So let's dig into that, because people are they're going to be confused by that. We know you eat fatty foods, you eat sugary foods. Of course, your body is impacted. But what is the research suggesting about the way our brain is impacted?
And look, we all know, try eating a chip, for example. Like, you can't eat one chip, right? It's impossible. You're going to eat the whole bag. These foods are highly addictive. And they're combining the three most powerful acidic and inflammatory foods. It's refined salt. It's sugar, right? Sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine in terms of what it does to your brain and the dopamine receptors. And then they're adding in inflammatory fats. There's fats that heal and there's fats that kill. And these are the omega-6 fats that basically go into your brain. They inflame your brain and they take your brain out. And this is what's leading to things like anxiety, depression, yes, even things like dementia and Alzheimer's. It's the same pathology left unchecked. And we're seeing all these studies. There's a 2015 study in the Journal of Neuroscience that when you give mice sugar, a high sugar, high carb diet for only 12 days, it's going to actually make changes in your microbiome, your gut microbiome. And we all know that now there is a gut-brain connection that's actually going to trigger changes in temporary and long-term memory, not to mention other associated changes with depression.
So there you go. And I think that some of the research is even suggesting that there's sort of physical changes in our brain. You mentioned some of the concerns, depression, mood disorders. But what about things like HDHD, hyperactive? I'm getting my ADHD. There you go. I'm getting all my letters mixed up. Are they also noticing connections between perhaps learning challenges and how we eat and this high processed diet?
Absolutely. I work with so many children that are suffering with ADD and ADHD. And again, we're looking at the same cause. It's all about looking for the root cause, not so much naming a diagnosis, but why are these things happening in the first place? And it's all inflammation driven. I always say we don't die of old age, we die of inflammation. So the more inflammation that hits our brain because of what these ultra processed foods are doing, starting in the gut, working their way into the body via leaky gut, hitting the brain about 30 minutes later, it drives up that inflammatory process, which changes the chemical structures of the brain. So children, adults, all of us alike, we have significant issues retaining, paying attention, focus. Why is that? It's because of what the inflammation's doing to the exact neurons in the brain.
So, Doctor, I've totally run out of time, but I know you're going to say if you want to reverse things, eat healthy. If you can pronounce the ingredients, that's a good start. Dr. Daryl Joffrey, I want to have you back on so we can tell people exactly what they need to do to change their diet. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All about those strength-eating foods that kick the acid out of the body.
Love it. The time now is 7:25, and here's what we've got.